you have a podcast right now called Daddy Issues. So do you find that, those issues that you're facing, you have guests of all different ages, all different stages, so many different people on that podcast. Do you find that you guys have some of the same issues? Do you find that this is a really important thing for you to talk about, being a dad?
Yeah, I mean, we are very clear that we are not professionals. I'm not a professional father. I'm not somebody that's studied psychology. I can't prescribe medication. The only thing I can tell you is my experience. And having been a dad in my late 20s and now being a dad again, you're never, by the way, you're never finished being a dad as long as you're on the planet. I'm still dad to my 24 and 21-year-old daughters too. It's just that, they're adults now. But I think this through line of having a podcast and having everybody come on and at least talk about their experience with their fathers has shown me that I was lucky as a kid, and has shown me that I'm doing a lot of the right things as a father, because not everybody has the kind of experience I had as a little boy. I mean, I knew my dad was there. I knew if I needed him, he would drop everything. I knew that I was loved. I hosted with Oliver Hudson, whose dad basically left the family when he was 6 and was gone for good by the time he was 12. And I'm finding that there's a variance on that same kind of story for a lot of people. And, it's just not how I experienced life as a kid, and it's sure as heck not how my kids experience life. So, there's a lot out there about being a mommy, and there should be. But there's not a ton out there from people whose opinion I trust about being a dad. And we're just throwing out there how we've gone about it. We're honest about mistakes we've made, but they're always done with the right intention. And that's, I think, the best you can do as a parent, mom or dad.
And you mentioned about growing up with your dad and having him so much in your life. I'm very mindful of who your father was, and you kind of following in his footsteps. Essentially, he could have cast a big shadow for you as in your career, but do you feel that you followed in his footsteps maybe as a father as well?
Yeah, I think I've tried to take what he showed me and improve upon it. And I say that because, and we talk about this actually a lot of the podcast, not everybody can make the decisions that we get to make. I am lucky enough to be able to form my schedule around what feels good as far as being a parent. And not people are up every day and having to go to work and putting their kids in childcare, but that's just the way it is. And I'm lucky, I'm fortunate. My dad traveled a ton. My dad had so many jobs. He had 2 families to support. He was trying to keep his head above water. And so there are a lot of people in that category. And he was making decisions that I think put enough money in his pocket to make the best life he could for all of us, his kids. He had 8 kids. I am in a position where I can say no to some things. I'm in a position where if it feels like, God, I've been gone for the entire month of October. I've barely seen my kids since the beginning of September. People want me to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm just going to say no. And outside of my core job, I have that ability. So my dad didn't have that luxury. A lot of people don't have that luxury. So I'm very mindful and aware of that. But I would say that if my dad were to come back, he's been gone since 2002. He would look at what I've done as a dad and he would be proud. I think as proud or more proud of me as a father than he is of me as an announcer or as anything else. I think it's the number one job I have on this planet. I made the comment one time to a writer when they said, well, how can you say you're the voice of Fox Baseball if you're not doing every Saturday game? And I said, because A, I'm not worried about that. I don't care what I'm called. And B, if I'm going to say yes to everything. I'm going to be underexposed at home, and I'm going to be overexposed on the air. And I would rather be the other way. I'd rather my kids be sick of me and say, get out and go do something, instead of being like, where is this guy? I haven't seen him in 3 weeks. So everybody's got their own unique situation. I've just been able and fortunate, and I've been lucky enough to be able to really be aware of when it felt like I've been gone too long, because I was on the receiving end of that as a kid, and I know what that's like, and I don't want that for my children if I can avoid it.
So, do you kind of look at your main role? You said your father might be more proud of you as a dad than as an announcer or a sports broadcaster. You know, this interview series is called Who Not Do. So, could you describe your who and not do? Would it be father? Would it be something else?
It would definitely be father. I've said multiple times that if I live my life and I do it right, I will be known as a great dad. The rest of it doesn't matter. I mean, I think it's up to all of us to put the best humans we can on this planet, and I take that job more seriously than anything I do. I mean, when I'm inside the walls of this house that I'm talking to you from, my number one job is dad. And when I have to get ready for a game, it fits around me being a dad or a husband. Those two things to me go hand in hand. I mean, it's a team effort over here, and it's not just me trying to be super dad. It's us being great parents. And I'm serving my role. My wife Michelle is serving her role. And together, we're doing the best job we can. But she works at ESPN. She's on the air. She's traveling too. And scheduling wise and FaceTime wise, it's just all about them. And then the rest fits around it. So yeah, absolutely. My number one priority is being their father.
And on the other side of things, like you said, when it comes to preparing for a game, it goes around being their dad. The fact that you mentioned preparing for a game, I know for generations like myself and many sports fans who watch, you are, like you said, you've been labeled kind of the voice of Fox Sports. You know, generations, my generation, we study what you do when we're in school. But you've said before that you love learning from Mike Tirico, you admire Jim Nantz.
Oh, yeah.
Why do you still sit down and try to learn from your peers and learn from others in the industry when there's people like us who are studying you?
Well, because there's a million ways to do this, and I think if you cut me open like a tree and you looked at the rings, I've done a lot of events, but I have taken little bits from everybody. I've tried to take the precision that I incorporate into a broadcast from Al Michaels, and I take a sense of history from Jim Nantz, and I take the ability to do multiple sports and try to do them as best I can, and sometimes learn on the fly from Mike Tirico. And you know, there are others, Dan Hicks, and my dad certainly. I mean, I am, you know, I am as much my dad's understudy and almost clone as anything else. I mean, it comes from the same type of rhythm and the cadence and the things that I pick out, as opposed to what Jim might see Nantz, or what Al might pick out during the course of a broadcast. It's all where your eyes go and what you end up saying that kind of forms your style. Yeah, I think if you're not studying others and seeing what they're doing and trying to pick up something that they might catch, and you hear it when you're sitting on your couch or whatever it is, I think you're missing an opportunity pretty much every time you turn on the TV.
And I'd love to ask you about people turning on their TV. So many people have access to you. They hear you, they see you all the time, yet they are very critical. Whether it's online, whether it's calling in, whatever it may be, people are critical of many sports broadcasters and news broadcasters, but especially yourself. You always seem to have such a great sense of humor about it. But does it ever get to you?
Yeah, I mean, I would be lying to you if I said that getting ripped online doesn't bother me. But at some point, you have to put it in its place. And most of the time, here, the hard thing for me is I'm not there representing any team. So it's different than people's local announcers. And I've been the local announcer in St. Louis. And when you are that person, if you're the Cardinals announcer, you're seeing everything through Cardinal glasses. And when you're there as the network guy, you have to be excited when the Dodger guy hits a home run and when the Brewer guy hits a home run. And you have to be excited for both. And fans don't want you to be excited for the other team. So automatically it's different. Baseball is the difference maker because there is no local TV and football in the NFL. It's all network. Baseball's different. You're listening to your people all year long, and they do a game a certain way. And then I show up, and it's like, why is this guy yelling and screaming for the Indians hitting a home run? But they don't hear it when your guy hits a home run. So you have to just put it in its place, and you know that if it's not you, it'll be the next person sitting in that seat. And it's almost not even personal. I feel like I do a good job. I feel like I work hard, and that's all I can do. And if people think that I'm against every team, that's kind of me doing my job. And it's really, in a roundabout way, a compliment.
Well, Joe, I don't want to take any more of your time. I already feel like I know a little bit more about your who than what you do. And I'm so glad to hear how passionate of a father you are. I can't wait to hear more daddy issues on the podcast. And also, I will say, your play-by-play for people's home videos. That's just been such a joy to watch.